It's time for our discussion segment. Today we'll be looking at the recent investigations by the National Orientation Agency and the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, how the NOA have uncovered a disturbing trend of unethical practices by some tertiary institutions across the country. Now, according to findings, some universities and financial institutions have been accused of conspiring to withhold or delay loan disbursement meant for students, sparking serious concerns over transparency and accountability in the student loan scheme. The report suggests that some institutions receive funds directly from the Nigerian Education Loan Fund but failed to inform the student or reflect the payments in their financial records, leaving students to pay tuition fees out of pocket despite their loans being approved and disbursed on paper. And this has led to unnecessary confusion for students who are already struggling to have access to quality education. But to throw more light on this, let's take a look at a background by our colleague Abdullah Ahmed.
Findings reveal that some university officials are deliberately withholding vital information about loan disbursements, while others are actively working with banks to delay payments, allegedly for personal financial gain. In some cases, institutions have failed to acknowledge loan disbursements from the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, leaving successful applicants stranded. Speaking to Trust TV News, the NOA Director General Larry Isa Onilu confirmed the disturbing trend and assured that steps are being taken to protect students from further exploitation.
Just about 4 months ago, we established a new department that we call Youth Engagement and Inclusion. So the Department of Youth Engagement and Inclusion is to ensure that we bring youth as drivers, not as passengers. And in several forums I have gone, talking to youth, I keep telling them, don't let anybody deceive you. They are not the leaders of tomorrow. Time is now. It's an attempt to lure you into slumber so that you can be waiting for tomorrow, and then they eat up your todays. So don't wait. It is not tomorrow, it is now. Take charge. And so the only way to do that is to ensure that we include them in what we are doing, and we make them drivers and not passengers. So how do we make them drivers? It's ensuring that we provide megaphone, we amplify their voices.
The orientation agency boss issued a stern warning to complicit institutions and banks, demanding an immediate halt to the malpractice. The National Orientation Agency has also instructed its state directorates to gather more student feedback nationwide, paving the way for decisive action against any school or bank found guilty.
This one we have done. Many universities now will pull back quickly and say, so we are being watched. That's one of the reasons why we went public, for the university to know that they are being watched. And also to get the student to know that you are being shortchanged. Don't also sit idle. While we are engaging with Nelfund, Nelfund is also responding. I can tell you that in a few weeks' time, they will launch an app that every student can have, and you can monitor and track everything till when the money gets to your university.
The recent revelations of unethical practices surrounding the disbursement of student loans have cast a shadow over what is arguably one of the Tinubu administration's most ambitious and transformative social intervention programs, the Nigeria Education Loan Fund. This was designed as a legacy initiative to democratize access to higher education and ease financial burden on millions of Nigerian students. The program promised hope and opportunity. However, reports of collusion between certain university officials and banks to delay or divert funds have raised serious concerns about its implementation. Abdullah Ahmed, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, amidst all of this, the National Orientation Agency has reiterated its commitment to ensuring that objectives of the student loan, the student loan scheme are not derailed, emphasizing that safeguarding the future of education in Nigeria is paramount. Now, joining us to shed more light on this critical issue, we have David Akoji, Director, Special Duties and Zonal Coordination at the National Orientation Agency, as he joins us virtually. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. David.
Good morning, and thank you for having us on the program.
It's good to have you. So this has been uncovered. The entire, rigmarole and all that's playing out, the irregularities between the Nelfund and, universities not acknowledging payment or notifying the students. So can you tell us, how was this unethical practice uncovered by the NOA? What prompted or, dragged the attention of the NOA to that brought about this discovery?
Okay, I think it is important to put all of this in context. The National Orientation Agency, among several of its mandates, has a mandate to get feedback from the public on government policies, programs, and activities. Remember, one of our core mandates is to communicate government policies, programs, and activities.
Indeed.
Now, we also harness feedback, and this we have been doing over the years. The products of such feedbacks before now are usually sent to strategic offices in government and to relevant organizations that are expected to respond in some way or the other to the feedback we are getting from members of the public. Now, this revelation came up as an outcome of such engagement also. We have been working with Nelfund to create awareness and to sensitize the student public on the benefits of this very outstanding government policy, that is being implemented by the Nelfund. Remember, the intention here is to ensure that no one is left out from access to higher education. This is the intention, that the children of the underprivileged, who a lot of times, though very intelligent, are not able to access higher education because of the challenge of payment of school fees. And so government has put this in place to bridge that gap, to say that at a very, very minimal difficulty, people should be able to access this loan, and then their school fees will be paid, and they will not have problems going to school. Now, the other intent behind the Nelfund is also the fact that if we do this, then we further open up the space for skills enhancement. Because when people go to school and they are educated, then you see that the nation benefits from the skills that are acquired, by such a process. So it also contributes to national development, So as an agency of government responsible for communicating government policies, programs, and activities, we have been working very closely with Nelfund, and it's in the process of harnessing feedback, from the benefiting student population that we came across some of these very disturbing developments. Now, like you heard the Director General say, before now we didn't used to go public with our feedback. We simply send them to responsible government offices so that they can take corrective actions. But we decided to go public this time to serve as a deterrence and to ensure that this anomaly that we have noticed does not become a trend in our higher institutions who are benefiting from the services being rendered by Nelfund. This is why we went public. And to also let some of these banks who are colluding with officials of some of these higher institutions to know that the long arm of the law may soon catch up with them if they continue in this light. So this is the reason why we went public. And then we got to know about this as an outcome of our usual harnessing of feedback from the public in terms of what their reaction is to various policies, programs, and activities that government is deploying.
So after this revelation, what was the tertiary institution's reaction or feedback towards these allegations?
What is going to happen presently is Nelfund has been made aware, of our findings. And Nelfund is in the process of engaging with EFCC and ICPC. who have the statutory responsibility for investigating this kind of infractions, and who also have the mandate to also punish offenders. So EFCC will shortly go to work, and they will discover all the institutions of higher learning that have been involved in these very nefarious actions that tend to sabotage well-intentioned government policies to benefit our youth population in schools, and they will take appropriate action.
All right, in line with transparency and accountability, are there plans put in place to actually publish the names of the schools and co-ordinating banks, just to really show that this process is transparent enough? And also, is there a plan to publish the outcome of the investigation and penalties put in place, just to ensure more transparency and accountability?
You see, this is entirely going to be within the purview of ICPC and EFCC, to whom Nelfund is bringing all of this, to their attention, And I have confidence in both institutions. We have seen how they've handled cases like this before, and we know that when the time comes to name and shame, EFCC will not hesitate in doing this. But it's entirely their mandate at this juncture.
So with these discoveries, what is left for the students that have been affected by these discrepancies that have gone on with the tertiary institutions and the banks as well?
I can assure you of one thing. Now that we have blown it open, you will find that many institutions will hesitate before they throw these very negative lines. They will think twice and even thrice before they try anything like this going forward, But then Nelfund is coming up with an app, just like you heard my DG say in the intro. This app is aimed at empowering the benefiting students.
Okay.
To the extent that once Nelfund has disbursed funds for their school fees to their institutions, they will get an alert.
Okay.
And this alert will empower them to the extent that where there's denial on the part of the institutions, they can show this app and say, no, we know that Nelfund has disbursed our school fees. So you can't be asking us to pay again or prevent us from writing exams because we have not paid, So these are very critical steps that Nelfund is taking, which we think will be very, very effective. We are also encouraging student unions of these higher institutions to take interest in this. They also have a responsibility to protect the interests of their members, So they should seek to know and then also intervene so that their institutions, the management of their institutions, do not take such funds to go and put in fixed deposits instead of properly crediting the portals, the account portals of benefiting students.
All right, just out of curiosity, how widespread is this malpractice we're talking about? How bad is it? How deep has he eaten? How many universities has he eaten deep into? So the students would know their fate.
Again, it is the investigations that EFCC and ICPC will carry out that will reveal the true depth of this occurrence.
Okay.
But immediately we noticed it in some higher institutions, we did not want to wait and see that it's widespread before we blow it open. You see that immediately we blow it open. And I can tell you for sure, now that the information is out in the public, and we're having conversations on platforms like yours about it, and other platforms, many of these institutions who hitherto had tendency to do this type of things will not do it, because they now know that the consequences is on the way, and it will catch up with them.
Okay, still in light of all of this now, what plans are there to educate students and create, it's a national orientation agency, campaigns and orientation processes needs to be implemented. So what plans is the NOA putting in place beyond the app, like you mentioned, to educate students on, okay, this is how Nelfund works. This is what you should know about Nelfund. Beyond the app, before the app is being implemented, how can students confirm, that these monies have been paid? Share the ones we have that are running, at the moment.
There's a lot that the National Orientation Agency is doing before now to enlighten the public on the benefits of the National Education Loan Fund. We've been carrying out sensitization on television. In literally all the television stations, you would find that we have been running adverts on the benefits of keying into the opportunities that the NEL Fund offers. We've also been doing this on our social media handles, working with Nelfund. And there's a project that we are unfolding, even as I speak with you, that Nelfund is robustly participating in. We are unfolding a program that we have titled Nigeria Happens to Me Positively. Now, you would know that before now, when people say Nigeria has happened to somebody, they are talking in the negative.
Yes.
But there are a lot of positive things that are happening in our country also, one of which is Nelfund. The opportunities around Nelfund. So we have identified impact organizations, Nelfund inclusive, that we are interviewing beneficiaries, and then we are explaining how intending beneficiaries, the steps that they can take to also become enrolled so that they also can benefit, And this is going to be happening in almost all television stations in this country, as we have come to be accustomed to under the recent leadership at the agency, So you are going to be seeing Nigeria Happens to Me. You will be hearing from authorities in Nelfund. You will be hearing from beneficiaries, of the services that Nelfund is rendering. And then you also be hearing on how people can enroll and get enlisted. And this will be running also in social media.
All right, with frequent discrepancies that we usually see with fundings, how is this process going to be seamless and transparent so that at least those deserving, the benefiters, those that are really deserving, can get this funding?
The information that we have from the CEO of Nelfund is, and this is true, is that the president has prioritized this particular policy of government, as one of his flagship interventions with the youth. And like I do, that education is key. Education is very, very important. Now, the purpose of Nelfund is to open the space and scale up enrollment in our higher institutions so that more people have opportunities, to get higher education, So this is the purpose of what Nelfund, is doing. And the president has prioritized this. And because of that, I do not think that funding is going to be a challenge, right, for now, in terms of how Nelfund is able to deliver on this mandate with regards to paying school fees and then paying pocket allowances, for those who have enrolled. What is happening at the moment is we find that enrollment is more from some regions, from the northern region, than it is from the eastern and southern regions. People are slow in catching up on that, for all kinds of reasons. Some people have cultures that are embedded in the fact that they want to avoid loans and things like that. They don't realize that what Nelfund is offering is not the kind of loan that is intended to send people to jail for default or anything like that. No. It's 2 years after graduation, if you get a job, that's when you start paying. You start paying back. And the responsibility for that paying back rests on your employer, in reasonable deductions, so that the process can keep itself going and then create room for others to also benefit in the future after you have benefited.
All right. Thank you so much, David Akoji, for throwing light on the expose and what came out from, the Nelfund and the NOA in regards to the role of universities in hoarding, monies required to pay up student school fees. We appreciate you throwing more light and enlightening us on all of that. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.